A federal judge in Arkansas has ruled that a law that was signed by Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders that would set up criminal penalties for librarians and booksellers is unconstitutional. This ban or this law would basically make it so libraries had to have materials that were deemed harmful to children in areas either completely off the shelves or inaccessible to minors. And basically what the judge said was, in part, that these laws would set up so that librarians were censorship police and thought police, so that they had to decide what was considered harmful, and that they'd be erring in the side of caution because they were afraid of whatever books might be deemed harmful to children, and they would be worried about getting criminal charges from it. Now, this is a good win for free speech and the free sharing of ideas. And I kind of expected things like this would happen. Now, Arkansas is not the only state to put in book bans like this. I believe Iowa has one, among several other states. And I think ultimately they are going to be all ruled unconstitutional because it's just unrealistic to expect librarians to decide what is deemed inappropriate, things like that. Now, they've always had kind of a sway over it, and usually what they used to do until the MAGA movement started really pushing this idea of book bans and stuff is when somebody objected to a book is they would just relocate it to a different part of the library, into a different section that also made sense, and there it was out of sight, out of mind. But you have a group of people in this country who think that they have a right to tell everybody, based on their own morality, their own ideas, what is considered an appropriate book. And that's just not appropriate. If you do not want your child accessing certain materials, that is your right to prevent your children from seeing those things. But that doesn't give you the right to prevent somebody else's children from seeing them because you deem it offensive. And that's where these people, they lose the plot a little bit. They forget how, where their rights end. They have the right to keep their kids safe from whatever they deem inappropriate. But again, they can't force other people to live by their code and morality. So, big win for free speech and book rights in Arkansas. We'll see how the appeals process goes. Ultimately, I think this ends up before the Supreme Court. And when the Supreme Court rules on it, whichever way they go with it, it will end up going and being used when all of the other book bans get challenged as well.